Hi, everybody. I get asked a lot, quite a bit actually, over the years and recently the last few months, how did I overcome anxiety, depression, and stop having panic attacks? And, I thought to myself, this would be something really good that I could do, share that out to those who are willing to listen and maybe look up resources, some paid, some not paid, to help people get over this condition. First of all, you should be very happy or proud or feel good. Let's use that term. Feel good about yourself that you're even watching this. Why? Because you're listening to someone who's been there and done that and who's overcome anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. Also, according to statistics, over 40 million people deal with some form of anxiety, depression, and panic attacks in America. Over 40 million. That's 18 years and older. By the way, you can see my cat here, my little buddy, Sonny. But yet, only 36.9, which is really 37%, deal with this condition. So there's a lot of people walking out there miserable. If you do the math, that's about 25 million. So there's resources. You can do something about this condition. Sometimes it's quick and sometimes it isn't. But know that it is treatable. You can overcome it. And not all treatments or advice or therapy techniques apply to every single person. We all have our unique things about us that require different needs that help us. But the reality is, especially nowadays, especially online, there's so many resources out there available, including guys like me who want to share the story. So I will be sharing tips and how I overcame anxiety and panic and depression. It took me about a year going to therapy twice a week, and I was on medication. And since I am in recovery of alcohol and drugs, I was on a medication called BuSpar. I don't know if they offer that anymore because that was sort of keeps you away from the other drugs like Valium and Xanax that you can kind of easily get addicted to. But after about a year, things have started calming down, and pretty early on. I'm talking about within a few weeks, I was already feeling better. But it took me a year to put a lot of stuff together behind me, and I started having less attacks, less episodes. So the good news is the information is out there. And then about a year after that, almost completely got rid of it. So I'm about 98%, I think, free and clear. But I never take anything for granted. And my consciousness has really, really been on high alert on a lot of different areas of my life. Because one thing that we do, and I'll get into the first tip in a second, is that we get ourselves into stressful situations, maybe even unhealthy situations, like relationships and jobs, because we're trying to resolve something, or at least for me, that we're trying to resolve something from the past through those relationships. In this case, it was my parents, and I can get into that in later videos. But the number one tip that I'd like to, or the tip number one that I'd like to share today, that was like a huge eye opener, a big breakthrough in a sense from my consciousness and my thinking, was the whole idea of control, right? A lot of us think that in our anxiety state and in whatever we are going through throughout our day and in our lives, that there is a certain level of control that makes us feel comfortable that we have. So we have to have control. We have to have control. And in anxiety states, and when we reach unhealthy levels, there is this confusion or this struggle with, I am losing control. But check this out. Once I realized and embraced and it came at peace with the times that I don't have control versus the times that I do have control, life started becoming a lot easier. If you are in traffic, I mean, do you really have control over how fast the traffic moves? I got driving phobias there for a while, and that was a part of it. Oh my God, I need to get out of traffic, they need to move, that sort of thing. I have to recognize that I don't have control. How about a client? When I was in business, I'm waiting to hear back from a client. I want to get the contract. I don't have control of how fast that client gets back to me. And this goes for relationships. This goes for a school test. I hear that a lot. There's a lot of test anxiety out there for students, but you have to recognize or come to grips. And we're not even at the stages yet where we can start getting in deeper into what helps us get through anxiety, panic, and depression. But this is something on the surface that we can start working on. All right, so if we want to start recognizing when I have power and when I don't have power, or when I have control, when I don't have control, then who does? Who has really ultimate control? And that actually helped me as well. If I were to say to myself, and I am really trying to become calm over a situation that I have no control over, I learned this actually through recovery, that I can have a higher power, and in my case, God, of my own understanding, and recognize that, well, God or the universe, there is control that I don't have, that you have, so it's in your hands. It's in your hands. It's in your hands, universe. It's in your hands, God. I'm a big proponent of God, but to me, God controls the universe. But recognize that you don't have control at certain times, embrace it, become at peace with it, and turn that over. So in other words, you know what? I don't have control over this test result. I don't have control over this job decision. I don't have control over this relationship. So God, it's in your hands. So whatever you decide, I'm going to be okay with that. It's a good start and a healthy way to start tackling this little idea of when you have control and when you don't, and then anxiety can start subsiding from that. Now, it could take some while, and I have other stuff to mention to you in later videos, and also in some ebooks and some resources for you. So the first thing I'd like for you to do in closing this out is that I have a digital copy of what they call, the little piece of paper here, Protect Your Personal Power, okay? So if you just download, if you just click, just give us your email so you can start following us and getting these resources. It's a free book, and I really, really like it. It talks a lot about power and empowerment and, love ourselves, like ourselves, but it also brings up gratitude and treating others with respect, which has a lot to do with our personal well-being. And so when we think it's our personal power, it's also meaning empowering ourselves to share goodness to others. So see you again next time, and good luck with your mind, body, and your spirit. God bless.